Alright, I have had some questions about what do I need to have on hand if in case of an emergency or when I'm getting ready to calve out a family dairy cow. This is not a comprehensive list, but this is what I keep on hand. I've had dairy cows now, a family milk cow, for a little over 10 years, and so I've just learned through the years of the emergencies that we have run into. I'm going to start off by saying the number one thing that you need to have is a good relationship with your vet. I am fortunate enough to have a vet that is good with dairy cattle and is willing to come out at the drop of a hat. He's taught me a lot. I tried not to use him until I absolutely need him. He's fantastic about coaching me over the phone whenever I have an emergency. So I'm going to start out with saying when we get close to calving, the first thing that you need to have for sure is OB lube and chains, just in case the calf is malpresented. These are OB chains. This is so you can hook to the feet of the calf and assist in pulling the calf. You're going to want sleeves. This way these sleeves go up to your shoulder. They're really long. And that's what you use the OB lube for, is you put this sleeve on and then you put some lube on that sleeve, and then you go in either rectally or vaginally, depending upon what you're trying to do, and assist, if you have to, assist with the calf. We just had a calf that was born upside down and backwards, so all three of these things were utilized for multiple hours. Once the calf is here, we are calving in the winter right now, so we keep calf blankets on hand. If you're going to use a calf blanket because it's cold outside, the biggest thing to know is that calf needs to be dry before you can put that blanket on, otherwise you will make the calf sick. Once the calf's here, I use iodine for where the umbilical cord is. And then the other things that you're going to have on hand if you're going to bottle feed the calf. Some people calf share with their dairy cows. I prefer to pull them and bottle feed, because I sell raw milk, so I prefer that the cow wants to let down completely for me and give me everything, and then I'll decide how much the calf gets. So there's multiple different types of bottles that you can use. This is just your standard run-of-the-mill bottle. This one is kind of a slow feeder. This one is my favorite. You just hang this on the gate, and then it holds anywhere up to 2 gallons of milk. Obviously I don't give that much at a time, but if you're feeding multiple calves, I can give one calf a gallon, the other calf a half a gallon, based upon how much they are getting in the day. It's a little bit more natural for the calf. It hangs down on the gate. It's just one of my favorite feeders, but obviously you can choose whatever bottle works for you. I like to have Nutrients Drench on hand. This, if you have a calf that's a little bit lethargic, or even a cow that's off feed, this is just kind of a potent dose of energy. It's got some macro minerals and stuff in there. I've used that multiple times. Probios is good to have. You can use this for the cows and the calves. This is anytime that they have stress, and calving is very stressful on the cows. So right at birth, I like to give 4 boluses at freshening to the cows, and then this is a bolus gun that you can use. These are tablets. See here, so you can either give the tablet in a bolus like this to the animal, or you can give it in a drench. You just dissolve those tablets in some water, and I'll have a separate video of how I'm actually medicating a cow. This is electrolytes. If you have a calf that goes off feed or starts to get the scours or has loose stools, it's always good to have electrolytes on hand to help boost that calf back up. So getting back to the cow, there's 4 major things that can go wrong when calving out dairy cattle. So these things I like to have on hand. You don't have to keep antibiotics on hand. This antibiotic is for metritis, which is an infection in their uterus. Obviously you're going to want a thermometer to be able to check their temperature. That antibiotic is over $300 for this bottle, so it's not always feasible for people to keep that on hand, but we have enough cows that unfortunately at times we have to have it, so we do keep it on hand. This is what you can treat mastitis. There's a million different ways to treat mastitis. You can culture it, you can treat it with this Today, which is over the counter. I'm not going to get into the different ways of treating it. This is just something I keep on hand if I have to. I've never had a mastitis that Today did not take care of, but there's a bunch of mastitises out there that Today does not take care of. So once again, having a good relationship with your vet is very important. So ketosis is What we are actually battling at the moment, we have a cow that had kind of a rough calving, so she was painful and didn't really want to eat for the first day or so. And so once she went off feed, she's a big producer, she started to not bring in enough energy, and so she is lethargic, not really interested in grain, has a really low production at the moment. So this is propylene glycol. This is just a really concentrated sugar, essentially. So my cow is about 1,800 pounds, so she is getting 8 ounces of this twice a day. I'm also giving her some aspirin for pain. If they are painful, they don't like to eat because they don't feel good. So I'm giving those two things together right now, and I have a separate video of how I actually give that to her. The next thing is milk fever. So there's a couple different ways that you can give calcium back to the cow. This is IV calcium if the cow is down. You're going to want to know how to hit a vein on a cow to give that to them. This is oral calcium in a gel. And then these are boluses. They're pretty big boluses. I prefer you can use this bolus gun to give them, or you can put it in water and give it as a drench. And then this is how I give my drenches. So it is just a calf tuber, and then I modified it with a very long tube that I can go all the way into the stomach with, and I use this to get into the cow's mouth, because you can see they like to chew on it. That way they don't chew up my tube. So this just works in the cow's mouth, and then I pass my tube through here and all the way down into the stomach. This is hooked up to it, so whatever I put in here medication wise goes straight into the stomach. So once again, not a complete list, but this is what I feel is pretty important. If you're going to have dairy cattle, you should at least have access to or know where you can get it from whenever you run into an emergency.